response to new economic and business centers within our region. I'm pleased to say today we're standing in a modern, ADA accessible station that serves as an intermodal hub connecting many of SEPTA's bus services. With the investment of $5 million, SEPTA has enhanced the parking, station, and bus facilities with new ramps and stairs, and pedestrian underpasses, lighting, new platforms and ADA compliant tactile edging, new platform shelters, new retaining walls, curbs, sidewalks, lighting, and new bus shelters, and many other amenities. Transit-oriented development is a new buzzword in transit, and is one way to create vibrant and livable communities. It is interesting to note that Gulph Mills Station might be among the very first TODs in our nation, when a businessman named Elbridge McFarland granted the old P&W a right-of-way through his property that allowed them to construct this line. Mr. McFarland owned and operated a textile mill, and one of the conditions of the easement was the construction of a station on this site so that his mill employees would always have access to public transportation. I'm very pleased that we are joined here this morning by Mrs. George Conrad McFarland, the daughter-in-law of this very forward-thinking gentleman, and would like to invite her to join me at the podium. Mrs. McFarland?
Good morning. I've been asked to speak to you about the history of the site of the Gulph Mills Station, located here in what was a little mill hamlet among these wonderful Gulph Hills. The village right here where we are, was called Bird in Hand, and the property was just generally the McFarland Mills or the Gulph Mills. For many years, this was the George McFarland estate, dating from 1847. George was born in Morgantown in 1811. His father was Dr. James McFarland, a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania. George was orphaned in 1820 and went to live with his father's sister, Margaret, who lived in Norristown area and had married a Stephen Porter. Stephen was the nephew of General Andrew Porter, and some of our Norristown friends may recognize it from Selma. After schooling at local schools, George apprenticed at the local Bethelmore Mills. That was one of the very earliest, if not the earliest, mill in Pennsylvania. He then went to Easton to work in the slate mills owned by the Porter family. During 1834 and 1835, he attended the Lafayette College, which also had been founded by the Porter family. He also taught school while he was in the Easton area. Upon returning to Norristown, he entered the textile business, and in 1847 purchased his mills here at the Gulf. During the Civil War, the company furnished cloth to the Union Army, and during his life he served the community as Justice of the Peace, a school director. He was director of the Matson's Bridge Company and director of the First National Bank of Norristown. He died January the 7th, 1879.